What if I told you that some of the most powerful healing plants on Earth didn't just survive thousands of years of human history, they survived the end of the world? Glaciers a mile thick, temperatures that wiped out mammoths and saber-toothed tigers, mass extinctions that reset life on this planet. And these plants are still here, still growing, still healing. While we're all running to the pharmacy for every ache and infection, there are plants that have outlasted entire civilizations. Plants that prehistoric humans used to heal wounds, fight infections, and survive brutal winters without a single synthetic drug in sight. Plants with actual clinical evidence proving they still work today. And I'm going to show you 20 of them right now. Stick around because number 7 was found with a 5,300-year-old frozen man in the Alps, and modern science confirmed it fights antibiotic-resistant infections. And number 20, the one I saved for last, predates the dinosaurs entirely, and researchers are only now catching up to why Ice Age peoples valued it above almost everything else. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because we post new videos every week connecting ancient plant knowledge with what modern science is actually proving. So let's get into it. Here are 20 Ice Age plants that survived everything and will heal you today, ranked from remarkable to absolutely ancient and miraculous. Number 1. Yarrow. Scientists found traces of yarrow in a Neanderthal burial site in Iraq dating back over 60,000 years. It was packed around a body, not as decoration, but because these people understood it worked. Yarrow, Achillea millefolium, earned its scientific name from the legend of Achilles using it to stop his soldiers bleeding on the battlefield. But that story was already ancient by the time the Greeks told it. Yarrow contains flavonoids with genuine hemostatic properties that shorten bleeding time and promote clotting, confirmed in modern studies. It also has documented anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial effects, stopping both the bleeding and the infection that would have killed far more Ice Age people than the wound itself. Traditional use was simple. Crush fresh leaves between your palms and pack directly into the wound. Yarrow got sidelined the moment synthetic antiseptics arrived. But those aren't growing wild in your backyard. Yarrow is. Think of it as the wound medic that's been on call for 60,000 years, still waiting at your feet every time you walk through a meadow. Number 2. Cattail. Every part of Typha latifolia, roots, shoots, pollen, leaves, seed fluff, has either a food use, a medicinal use, or both. It grew along glacial lakes and rivers, and our ancestors built their survival around it. But here's the medicinal side most people miss completely. The gel between the young leaves has genuine antiseptic and wound-healing properties, applied directly to burns and cuts like a natural wound dressing. Modern analysis confirms anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial compounds in that gel. The fluffy seed heads served as sterile wound dressing material, soft, clean, always available. The pollen appears in traditional Chinese medicine for pain and inflammation, and has been studied for analgesic effects. We didn't forget cattail exactly. We just stopped recognizing it as medicine and started calling it a swamp weed. Think of it as the Ice Age pharmacy that never actually closed, still standing in every marsh and wetland waiting for someone to remember what it was for. Number 3. Rosehip. Before vitamin supplements existed, rosehips kept Ice Age populations alive through winter. Rosa canina hips contain more vitamin C per tablespoon than an entire orange. Scurvy killed sailors, soldiers, and explorers well into the 18th century, but communities who knew rosehips didn't get scurvy. They harvested the hips in autumn when vitamin C levels peak, dried them, and used them through the dark months. Modern research goes further than vitamin C alone. Studies show rosehip powder significantly reduces pain and stiffness in osteoarthritis patients, with one large trial showing meaningful improvement after just 3 months. Rosehip contains a compound called GOPO with confirmed anti-inflammatory effects, validated across multiple peer-reviewed studies. Synthetic vitamin C is cheaper, but rosehip delivers the full matrix of bioflavonoids and antioxidants working together the way nature built them. Think of it as the fruit that kept Ice Age humanity from dying every winter, still hanging brilliant red on hedgerows right now. Number 4. Elderberry. When a plant appears independently in the healing traditions of virtually every culture across Europe, Asia, and North America, that is not coincidence. That is a plant that works. Sambucus nigra survived the Ice Age in refugial zones and was among the first trees to spread back as the glaciers retreated. Multiple randomized controlled trials show elderberry extract significantly reduces the duration and severity of influenza. One study showed recovery in 4 days with elderberry compared to 8 days with placebo. That is clinical data, not folklore. The anthocyanins appear to directly inhibit viral replication and may prevent viruses from entering cells entirely, a completely different mechanism from any antiviral drug. Elderberry never disappeared, but we put it in the folk remedy category when the evidence puts it squarely in the category of genuine antiviral treatment. Think of it as the immune fortress Ice Age humans built their survival around, still growing in hedgerows everywhere. Number 5. Willow. Here is the real origin of aspirin. Ice Age humans were chewing willow bark for pain and fever long before any chemist touched a test tube. Salix alba contains salicin, the compound chemists eventually isolated and turned into acetyl salicylic acid. Aspirin, the most widely used drug in human history, is a synthetic copy of something that has been growing along riverbanks since before the last glaciers retreated. Archaeological evidence places willow bark use among Neanderthals. Ancient Egyptian papyri prescribe it for pain and fever. Hippocrates documented it. Indigenous peoples across North America discovered it independently. Every civilization with willow trees used willow trees, everywhere, every time, because it works. Modern studies confirm willow bark reduces back pain and osteoarthritis pain comparable to aspirin, but without causing the gastric bleeding aspirin is notorious for. The whole plant buffers the salicylates in ways that isolated chemistry simply cannot replicate. Think of it as the original pain clinic that has been operating along every river on Earth since before recorded time. Number 6. Bilberry. During World War II, British RAF pilots began eating bilberry jam before night missions. Their night vision improved measurably, and the RAF noticed. Scientists investigated and found that bilberries are extraordinarily rich in anthocyanidins, compounds that regenerate rhodopsin, the eye pigment responsible for low-light vision. Clinical research has since confirmed that bilberry extract improves visual acuity, reduces eye fatigue, and may protect against macular degeneration. Multiple European countries now use bilberry extract as a registered treatment for retinal disorders. Beyond eye health, studies show bilberry improves insulin sensitivity and reduces blood glucose levels. Bilberry got confused with blueberry, its North American cousin, and largely forgotten as a distinct medicine. But the medicinal potency of bilberry is significantly higher. These are not the same plant. Think of it as the berry that kept Ice Age eyes sharp through Arctic winters, still growing wild across the Northern Hemisphere. Number 7. Birch polypore. This is the one I promised you. In 1991, hikers discovered the frozen body of a man who died approximately 5,300 years ago, Otzi, the Iceman. Among his possessions were 2 pieces of a specific bracket fungus threaded carefully on a leather cord. Piptoporus betulinus, birch polypore. Otzi had intestinal parasites, confirmed by scientific analysis, and birch polypore has documented anti-parasitic properties confirmed specifically against the type of worms found in his gut. Scientists believe he was self-medicating. A man 5,300 years ago was carrying his medicine ready to use. Modern research confirms antimicrobial activity, including against tuberculosis bacteria, immune-modulating polysaccharides, and anti-inflammatory compounds. The pharmaceutical model doesn't know what to do with bracket fungi that grow on trees, but Otzi knew exactly what to do with it. That is not folklore. That is evidence written in a 5,300-year-old kit. Number 8. St. John's wort. St. John's wort blooms at the summer solstice, the longest, brightest day of the year, and for thousands of years it has been used to fight the opposite, the darkness of depression, anxiety, and seasonal melancholy. Ice Age humans living through months of near-total polar darkness needed this plant in ways we can barely imagine today. A Cochrane review, one of the highest standards of medical evidence, analyzed 29 clinical trials with over 5,000 patients and concluded St. John's wort was superior to placebo and comparable to standard antidepressants with fewer side effects. The active compounds hypericin and hyperforin influence serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, modulating the same pathways as pharmaceutical antidepressants, but more gently. One real caution: it interacts with certain medications and can reduce their effectiveness. But for people not on those drugs, the clinical evidence is genuinely hard to argue with. Think of it as the plant that blooms at peak light and has spent thousands of years helping humanity survive the dark. Now, if you're finding this valuable, do me a huge favor and hit that like button right now. It helps this video reach people who are ready to reconnect with medicines that outlasted every civilization on Earth. And if you haven't subscribed to Ancient Flora yet, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Let's keep going because we're just getting to the really extraordinary ones. Number 9. Nettle. Wherever glaciers retreated and left behind disturbed, nitrogen-rich soil, nettles moved in. They thrive near human habitation, near old cooking fires and butchering sites. Nettle followed humanity for tens of thousands of years, or perhaps it's the other way around. Deliberately stinging arthritic joints with fresh nettle leaves, a practice called urtication, has been confirmed in clinical trials to reduce arthritis pain. The formic acid and histamine in the sting trigger a local response that paradoxically reduces chronic inflammation in the tissue beneath. Clinical studies also show nettle leaf significantly reduces hay fever symptoms by inhibiting inflammatory pathways. Nettle root extract improves urinary flow in men with prostate enlargement across multiple randomized trials. We pulled it from our gardens as a weed when it was one of the most medicinally dense plants in the landscape. Think of it as the plant that followed humanity through every hardship since the Ice Age, still stinging, still healing. Number 10. Bog myrtle. Most people have never heard of Myrica gale, and that's exactly why it belongs on this list. This aromatic shrub thrives in the boggy tundra of northern Europe, the exact terrain where post-glacial peoples built their lives after the ice retreated. It was woven directly into sleeping mats and bedding to repel fleas and lice, and the aromatic oils are genuinely insecticidal, confirmed by modern testing. It also served as a beer bittering agent before hops became dominant, in a brewing tradition called gruit, where the bitterness functioned as digestive medicine alongside flavor. Modern research confirms potent antioxidant flavonoids and antimicrobial compounds throughout the plant. Bog myrtle vanished from mainstream use when trade routes made exotic southern herbs available. But adapted local medicine is often better than anything imported. Think of it as the pharmacy that grew in the bogs while the glaciers melted, still aromatic, still full of compounds that work. Number 11. Juniper. Juniperus communis has one of the widest natural ranges of any tree on Earth, from the Arctic Circle to North Africa, North America to Siberia, and it survived the Ice Age to reclaim all of it. Burning juniper wood in enclosed spaces was one of the earliest fumigation methods ever used, and modern research confirms the essential oil has broad-spectrum antimicrobial activity, including against some antibiotic-resistant strains. The berries have documented diuretic and urinary antiseptic effects. The traditional go-to for urinary tract infections across dozens of independent cultures worldwide. The word gin comes from genièvre, the French for juniper. We took one of our oldest antiseptics, distilled it into a cocktail ingredient, and forgot entirely what it used to be. Think of it as the Ice Age medicine that survived everything, got turned into a drink, and is still as powerful as it ever was. Number 12. Meadowsweet. The name aspirin comes from spirea, the old botanical classification of meadowsweet. Aspirin, from spirea. Like willow, Filipendula ulmaria contains salicylates that relieve pain and reduce fever. But here's what makes it extraordinary. While aspirin destroys the stomach lining, meadowsweet heals it. Modern research confirms meadowsweet flower extracts have gastroprotective effects, protecting the stomach wall while delivering pain relief simultaneously. Studies also show antimicrobial activity against H. pylori, the bacteria responsible for most stomach ulcers. A plant that heals the exact damage that aspirin causes. We replaced meadowsweet with its own synthetic derivative and ended up with something that works similarly but damages more. Nature's formulation was more sophisticated than the version we invented to replace it. Think of it as the plant that taught chemistry everything it knows and never got any of the credit. Number 13. Hawthorn. Crataegus colonized every temperate hedgerow in Europe as the glaciers retreated and became one of the most trusted heart medicines the world has ever known. Multiple clinical trials confirm hawthorn extract improves exercise tolerance in heart patients, increases cardiac blood flow, reduces blood pressure, and relieves heart failure symptoms. The active compounds dilate coronary blood vessels and improve heart muscle efficiency, not by forcing the heart to work harder, but by making each contraction more effective. For people focused on preventing heart disease before it starts, hawthorn offers gentle, long-term cardiac support backed by clinical trial evidence. Pharmaceutical cardiology has powerful drugs for advanced disease, but for early prevention and maintenance, hawthorn fills a gap that almost nothing else covers. Think of it as the heart medicine that survived 10,000 years and is still growing in every hedgerow. Number 14. Arnica. Arnica montana grows on high-altitude glacial meadows in some of the harshest conditions imaginable. Poor soils, intense UV radiation, frost threatening any month of the year. The shepherds who crossed those mountains in Ice Age conditions discovered it was the fastest-acting topical treatment for injuries they could find. Multiple randomized controlled trials show topical arnica gel matches ibuprofen gel for reducing pain and swelling from sprains, bruising, and osteoarthritis. The sesquiterpene lactone compounds have confirmed anti-inflammatory effects on damaged tissue. One absolutely critical point: arnica is for external use only. The same compounds that heal topically are toxic if swallowed. Used correctly, it is one of the most powerful topical anti-inflammatories available. It stayed central to German and Swiss herbal practice, while most of the English-speaking world forgot it existed. Think of it as the mountain medicine that has been treating injuries since Ice Age people first crossed the Alpine passes. Number 15. Valerian. Multiple clinical trials show valerian root extract improves sleep quality, reduces time to fall asleep, and decreases nighttime waking, consistently across different study designs. It acts on GABA receptors, the same target as benzodiazepine sleep medications, but through gentler mechanisms and without the dependency risk. One study found valerian as effective as the pharmaceutical oxazepam for generalized anxiety disorder with significantly fewer side effects. It doesn't sedate you the way prescription sleep medications do. It helps your nervous system slow down and reset the way it's supposed to. Valerian got sidelined as habit-forming pharmaceutical options became standard, but for mild to moderate sleep problems and everyday anxiety, it offers clinically supported relief without the risks that come with prescription drugs. Think of it as the sleep medicine that helped Ice Age people rest after brutal days of survival. Number 16. Horsetail. Equisetum first appeared approximately 350 million years ago in the swamps alongside the ancestors of dinosaurs. It survived the extinction event that killed them. It survived every ice age that followed. It is growing today essentially unchanged from what it was when dinosaurs walked past it. Equisetum arvens contains the highest silica concentration of any plant on Earth, and silica is critical for the structural integrity of connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, cartilage, bone, and skin. Studies show horsetail extract increases collagen synthesis and supports bone mineralization. Clinical research confirms significant diuretic properties used traditionally for urinary infections and kidney support. We left it as a garden nuisance while ignoring one of the most unique healing profiles in the entire plant kingdom. Think of it as the plant that watched the dinosaurs rise and fall and is still offering its medicine to anyone willing to notice it. Number 17. Crowberry. Impetrum nigrum didn't survive the Ice Age by retreating somewhere warmer. It survived by thriving right at the glacier's edge, providing food and medicine to people who made the frozen tundra their home. The small black berries carry anthocyanin concentrations that in some studies rival or exceed even bilberries and elderberries. Modern research shows potent anti-inflammatory, cardiovascular protective, and neuroprotective effects from those compounds. Inuit, Sami, and Siberian peoples stored these berries frozen through the winter months, one of the only Arctic fruits that naturally preserves itself in the cold without any processing needed. Crowberry disappeared from broader awareness simply because it grows where most people never go. But its chemistry is extraordinary. Think of it as the berry that kept Arctic peoples alive through conditions that would kill most modern people within days. Number 18. Mugwort. Artemisia vulgaris has been used across China, Japan, Korea, Europe, and indigenous North America, each tradition arriving at the same medicinal uses entirely independently. In traditional Chinese medicine, it is the foundation of moxibustion, burning dried mugwort over acupuncture points to stimulate healing. The compound artemisinin, from the close relative Artemisia annua, became the world's most important anti-malarial drug. A Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded in 2015 for discovering it from traditional Chinese use. That tells you exactly what Artemisia species are capable of when science takes them seriously. Mugwort itself contains volatile compounds with documented nervous system effects, confirmed anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial activity, and bitter compounds that stimulate bile and digestive function. Its association with women's health reflects genuine uterine-stimulating compounds, which means it must never be used during pregnancy. Think of it as the plant that has walked alongside humanity since the Ice Age, still growing in every disturbed landscape on Earth. Number 19. Club moss. Horsetail takes us back 350 million years. Club moss goes further, 400 million years. The Lycopodium family predates trees, predates flowers, predates almost the entire plant kingdom as we know it. And inside Lycopodium serratum is a compound that modern neuroscience considers one of the most promising cognitive medicines ever found. That compound is huperzine A. It inhibits the enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter essential to memory, learning, and cognitive function. The same target as the pharmaceutical drugs prescribed for Alzheimer's disease. Multiple clinical trials show huperzine A improves memory and cognition in Alzheimer's patients. A peer-reviewed neurological review confirmed beneficial effects with a good safety profile. No one was looking for Alzheimer's medicine in a plant that predates the dinosaurs. Turns out, nature had 400 million years to develop something worth finding. Number 20. Chaga, the Ice Age immune king. And here we are at number 20, the one I saved for last. Chaga doesn't just survive in the Ice Age landscape, it survives by consuming another Ice Age survivor, the birch tree, and in doing so develops one of the most complex suites of bioactive compounds ever found in any natural organism. Inonotus obliquus grows on birch trunks across Russia, Siberia, and Canada, looking like a rough, burnt black mass on the bark. It's not beautiful, but what's inside has driven centuries of traditional medicine and is now driving serious pharmaceutical research. The Khanty people of western Siberia called it the gift of God. Russian villages brewed it daily. The writer Solzhenitsyn described it in Cancer Ward and triggered a wave of Soviet scientific research. Modern analysis confirms chaga contains among the highest antioxidant concentrations ever measured in any organism, including superoxide dismutase at levels that dwarf almost every plant source. It contains betulinic acid with demonstrated selective anti-cancer activity in laboratory research. Studies confirm immune-modulating polysaccharides, anti-inflammatory effects, blood sugar stabilization, and antiviral activity. Western medicine largely ignored it because you cannot patent a fungus growing free in Siberian forests. But 10,000 years of traditional medicine recognize something that immunology and oncology are finally beginning to confirm. Think of it as the medicine the Ice Age grew on its own trees, still clinging to birch trunks across the northern hemisphere, still everything Siberian healers always knew it was. If you made it to the end, you've just learned something most people will never know. These plants didn't survive thousands, hundreds of thousands, or in some cases hundreds of millions of years by accident. They survived because they work, with biological machinery refined over timescales that make all of human history look like a single afternoon. Our ancestors understood them better than we do. They didn't have clinical trials, but they had generations of careful observation and the very real consequence of getting it wrong. They got it right, and modern science is proving it. Smash that like button if this changed the way you think about the ancient world and the healing that survived it. Drop a comment and tell me which Ice Age plant surprised you the most. Are you Team Chaga and the Immune King, Team the Ancient Painkillers, Team the Living Fossils that predate the dinosaurs? I read every single comment and I love hearing from you. And if you haven't subscribed to Ancient Flora yet, what are you waiting for? Hit Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. We are here to connect the deepest roots of plant knowledge with what modern science is actually proving. And there is so much more to show you. Remember, these plants survived the end of the world. The least we can do is remember their names.